that their views are influenced by what they see reported on TV. When the real issue is lack of education and understanding of the Islamic faith. Okay, now, Linda, you represent Radical Justice for Muslims. What do you think about all of this?
I mean, I do sometimes blame the media for it. I mean, Muslims are always the, villains in the movies. We're always the ones that are portrayed as hijackers of airplanes. We only talk about Muslims in the context of war and terrorism. The minute a perpetrator of violence is a Muslim, immediately we talk about terrorism. But when he's a white Christian, that's something that we delay in the conversation. So the media plays a role in how people perceive Muslims. And if you don't know a Muslim, if you've never had a friend that was a Muslim, if you don't know if the guy in your college class is a Muslim and you never went to their home, you never hung out with their family, you're going to be just like that guy in that City Hall town meeting. I mean, this guy has seen images and that's all he knows. So he thought he can walk up into a City Hall meeting and just call all Muslims terrorists.
Right. Rabbi Shmuley, what are your thoughts?
Well, what a lot of people don't know, Steve, is that historically, Islam kind of led when it came to women's inheritance rights. It established some of the world's first universities. As a Jew, Muslim nations took us in when we were expelled from Christian nations, like Spain in 1492. But that doesn't change the fact that Islam in our age, which is a great world religion, is being plagued by a lot of terrorists. And it's incumbent upon phenomenal ambassadors like Manira to speak out and condemn the violence in the name of God. They cannot allow their religion to be hijacked by extremists. No matter how much the media wants to hype this, and obviously the media wants to get eyeballs to watch on screens, the fact is that we are seeing a lot of violence in the name of religion. A lot of it is coming from Islam. That should never tarnish Muslims who are God-fearing, our equal brothers and sisters. The first chapter of Genesis, we are all equally God's children. But to deny it's happening and to say it's only someone else's fault is an abrogation of responsibility. I'm a Jew. I want my religion to be a consecration of God's name. I want people to think Judaism, goodness, etc. We have our problems, but that's what I want them to think. And if my religion goes astray, I'm the one who has to correct it. And I think our God-fearing Muslim brothers and sisters need to use the Quran to invoke its teachings, as we just heard, to condemn the violence completely and utterly so that no one can kill in the name of God.
It's very simple for the average American. Google, Muslims condemn terrorism. There are Muslims across the world, scholars, activists, imams, you name them, they've condemned. I don't own the media, and if the media doesn't want to cover my community when we're condemning violence, that's not my responsibility. The other issue that I have is why is it that we put the onus on Muslims to condemn violence, but we never put the onus on any other faith community? If a Christian goes and shoots up a Planned Parenthood office, I don't hear anyone saying, all white Christians, please stand and condemn violence. We look at that person as a criminal who engaged in a violent act, and that responsibility is never put on anyone else.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I agree with that there's never any other, because that's not true. I think that sometimes Christians can be very condemned in the media as well. However, as a leading pastor, I'm very little educated on Islam. I do get most of the messages from people that I interact with on a daily basis through what we see in the media. There is an overall, I think, perception, and that perception becomes people's reality. As our dear sister said, Islam is of love. But if I went and asked 20 people right now, what's Islam? They would not say Islam is of love, I don't think, because the perception is driven by fear. Now, as a Christian believer, I'm not driven by fear. I want to know. I want to be exposed. I want to learn. I want to know, what is the mass of your community?
But I want a relationship. I can open any book. I can open any door. A religion, a community is defined by what you say and how you say it and how you act. Media put a label on it. I don't believe the media. Obviously, that guy did. But I live in the hood, I'm in South Central, and I've seen phobias. I've seen gangs.
Right.
This is not, I don't believe, a religious Muslim idea. This is people who are personally desperate. In the Middle East, you have a chaos of governments falling and getting up and falling. There's instability. People are desperate. People are afraid. Fear brings on anger. Anger brings on suffering and hatred. So the thing is that we need to make a relationship. Now, how we look down on other people, I bet you've been looked down on people. Try wearing the collar on a plane sometime. or the yarmulke, or whatever, a cross, or you say you're a Christian. That could be, well, are you a fundamentalist? Are you anti-gay? Are you like this guy was?
Okay.
You know.
But can I just say that on the contrary, when I see Linda, I feel an immediate affinity because she keeps her faith, and that allows me to keep mine. But we can't disempower faith communities by saying that violence comes because of desperation, or violence comes because people feel a sense of hopelessness. We all have moral choice. That's the central message of religion. You're always a moral agent. You can't blame other people for the mistakes you make. The greatest American spiritual leader of the 20th century was Martin Luther King. And when he saw even small acts of violence, he blamed his movement, even though they were victims, and they were subject to the horrors of Jim Crow. But he still said, we are a movement of peace. And he forever changed America, because he empowered people to take moral action. And he made them march, and that's what changed us.
See, okay, we in this country are guided by the media and our politicians. They take these polarizing, anything that's polarizing, to pick a side.
Right.
And they have chosen Islam and Muslims as a scapegoat in this new election. It's all over everything. They've chosen it as a way to polarize. Listen, our country operates off of fear.
Yes.
It's
Fear
sure
of the economy crashing.
Yes.
Fear of death, fear of disease. So now, here's what happens. Every single story they can to get an eyeball on a TV set, like you said earlier, is about some wayward Muslim who is in a sect, who has taken this beautiful faith and twisted it. Because nowhere in the Quran does it say to do any of this stuff. It don't say shoot nobody. It don't say crash no plane. It don't say nothing. Hey, folks, welcome. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click here to subscribe to my channel. That way you won't miss a single hot new video, some really good stuff. And then I want you to click here to see